He raised his palm and struck out at her, roaring, "You ungrateful wretched cur, you are asking for a beating." Qin Caihe was only at the 5th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, no match for Lu Xinghe, who stood at the 7th layer of Foundation Establishment. Her countenance changed drastically as she scrambled backward in haste. In her fluster, she stumbled and lost her balance, on the verge of hitting the ground hard. Fang Chen stepped forward and caught her steady, frowning as he glared at Lu Xinghe. "Have you not caused enough trouble along the journey? Your arrogance already led the entire team into the trap of the Black Lotus Bandits. You should be grateful to have escaped with your life, atone for your crimes by helping the team complete the handover properly, yet you instead spout snide sarcasm, and now you even raise a hand against your own comrades." Lu Xinghe was already seething with rage, and Fang Chen, stepping in to interfere, only stoked his fury further. What infuriated him most was not Qin Caihe's mockery, but the fact that his own junior sister had taken the side of the outsider Fang Chen. Now that Fang Chen had stepped forward, he was consumed by unbridled wrath, turning every ounce of his rage toward Fang Chen. "You useless trash, why are you posturing as a righteous man here? You think a few sweet words to fool people let you lord it over me? I will show you right now what rules the world of martial cultivation." He shifted from a palm strike to a fist, slamming viciously toward Fang Chen's chest as he roared, "Remember this, the world of martial cultivation is ruled by fist power." His attack came far too abruptly. Song Biao and the other disciples standing in the distance had no time to react, and could only cry out in a hurry to stop him. Yet to Song Biao's utter confusion, Qin Caihe and Chu Meng remained strangely calm, showing not the slightest trace of panic. Lu Xinghe was a genuine powerhouse at the 7th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, while Fang Chen did not even possess a spirit root. How could he possibly block Lu Xinghe's punch? But what Song Biao witnessed next defied all belief. Fang Chen did not even circulate his spiritual Kai, and simply struck out with a casual slap of his palm. Even as strong as Lu Xinghe, a 7th layer Foundation Establishment cultivator, was sent flying like a cotton stuffed sack for 3 to 4 zheng with that single light slap, crashing heavily into the stone pillar of the sect's entrance. PFFD, struck by that brutal blow, Lu Xinghe spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, his face draining of color in an instant. He stared at Fang Chen in utter disbelief, stammering, You practice body refinement techniques." Fang Chen replied coldly, "Your fist power is nothing impressive. With this little strength, you dare to lecture others on how the world of martial cultivation works." Lu Xinghe was instantly consumed by overwhelming humiliation. He slammed his palms against the ground to lunge forward again, roaring, "I didn't even use my full strength." "Stop, Song Biao shouted sharply, flashing forward to block his path. She spoke in a frigid tone, fighting before the entrance of the Spirit Beast Sect. "You are far too insolent. Do you truly think your cousin's protection lets you act as you please with no repercussions?" Lu Xinghe jolted awake and calmed down instantly. No sect would tolerate disciples from other sects brawling right before their mountain gate. He apologized hastily. "I am sorry, senior sister Song. I acted far too impulsively." Out of consideration for his cousin, Song Biao did not make things difficult for him, saying coldly, "Do not let this happen again." But Lu Xinghe, who had suffered a humiliating defeat for no apparent reason, had no intention of letting the matter rest. He bade a quick farewell and sprinted into the Spirit Beast Sect grounds. Song Biao frowned, looking at Fang Chen with clear worry in her eyes. "Junior brother Fang, if you have no other business here, leave quickly. I suspect he is going to find his cousin Yi Lingxing to back him up. Senior sister Yi Lingxing is on bad terms with junior sister Yuan, so she will most likely not reason with you. It is best for you to leave at once." Hearing this, Fang Chen felt somewhat helpless. He had no wish to make enemies for no reason, but he still had an unclaimed bounty reward. It was a vial of Earth Phoenix Grass Marrow, which could let him break through to the 8th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm. How could he possibly pass that up? "Thank you for your concern, senior sister Song. However, I completed a bounty task for your sect on my way here. Could you tell me where I can redeem the reward?" Song Biao's face was filled with astonishment. What bounty task could the Spirit Beast Sect have? The last bounty issued was several years ago, and it was far beyond the capabilities of ordinary disciples to complete. Song Biao wanted to ask what the bounty was, but the area was crowded with prying eyes. She feared that asking would expose Fang Chen's business and draw covetous gazes, so she could only ask tentatively, "Is the bounty reward very valuable?" The unspoken meaning was clear. If the reward was not worth much, he should just forget it, to avoid running into Yi Lingxing. Fang Chen hefted the cloth wrap in his hand that held the head of the Black Lotus Bandit leader, and replied, "It is decent enough." Seeing that Fang Chen was determined to enter the Spirit Beast Sect, Song Bi Yao could not stop him any longer. Very well, Wenjun, take junior brother Fang to the mission hall. Xianyang, go inform junior sister Yuan that Fang Chen has arrived. Song Bi Yao was both a dear friend of Yi Liangxing and a fellow townsman of junior sister Yuan. Taking either side would put her in an awkward position, so she simply chose to stay out of the conflict entirely. Fang Chen offered a word of thanks, then accompanied the two women, following the female disciple, named Wenjun, into the Spirit Beast Sect. A short while later, Wenjun spoke, "Junior brother Fang, the mission hall lies just ahead. I will not accompany you further." As a subordinate of Song Biyao, she naturally had to adopt the same neutral stance as her mistress, refusing to take sides in any dispute. Fang Chen cupped his hands in thanks, and could not help but sigh inwardly. Sects with a large number of female disciples were truly rife with small cliques. Fang Chen turned to the two women beside him and said, "Wait a moment, junior sisters. I will return shortly." As Fang Chen stepped into the mission hall, he spotted many people inside, all female disciples of the Spirit Beast Sect wearing colorful robes, who had come to turn in their regular sect missions. When they spotted a male disciple from a foreign sect arriving, all wore expressions of astonishment and began murmuring amongst themselves, "Why is a disciple from another sect in our sect's mission hall? When did our sect start issuing public bounties to outsiders? Could he have come to the wrong place?" Facing the probing gazes of the numerous female disciples, Fang Chen kept his expression calm and took his place at the end of the queue. A cup of tea's time later, the female disciples ahead of him finally finished turning in their missions. Just as it was Fang Chen's turn to step forward, 3 female disciples walked in from outside the hall. The leader had fair skin, a tall willowy figure, and a cold, aloof gaze. As she walked through the hall, all the female disciples inside scrambled to step aside, not daring to block her path. She strode straight to the mission handover counter, only then noticing the male disciple wearing the robes of a foreign sect. Her brow furrowed instantly. "Who are you? What business do you have in our sect's mission hall?" Fang Chen glanced at the imposing female disciple and answered briefly, turning in a mission. As he spoke, he set a cloth bundle on the counter and addressed the deacon in charge of reception. "Honored deacon, please verify the contents first." Behind the cold, aloof woman, 2 female disciples who clearly acted as her attendants frowned. One of them, a pretty-faced girl, snapped in displeasure, "Step aside. Wait until our senior sister has turned in her mission first." She stepped forward, preparing to shove Fang Chen out of the way. The cold, aloof woman glanced at the bundle Fang Chen had submitted and spotted faint traces of blood seeping through the cloth. She grew curious. Could that be a human head? When had the Spirit Beast Sect ever issued a mission requiring one to bring back a severed head? Out of curiosity, she stopped her attendant, saying, "Do not be rude. Mind your conduct in front of a disciple from another sect." Though she was overbearing within her own sect, she had to maintain decorum when outsiders were present, to avoid leaving foreign cultivators with the bad impression that all female disciples of Spirit Beast Sect were tyrannical. The female disciple who had tried to shove him retreated dejectedly, and every female disciple in the hall turned their curious gazes toward the cloth bundle. Even the deacon wore a stunned expression. "Disciple from another sect, are you certain this is a mission item for our sect?" As the deacon of the mission hall, she knew all Spirit Beast Sect missions like the back of her hand. Almost all missions required finding various beast eggs, young spirit beasts, or natural treasures related to spirit beasts. When had there ever been a mission demanding a severed head? Fang Chen said, "You will know once you look, deacon." Hearing this, the deacon grew even more confused and opened the cloth bundle with a dubious expression. A blood-soaked severed head, its eyes wide open and face twisted in a ferocious snarl, was revealed to all present. Even though many had suspected what was inside, a number of female disciples still cried out in fright, "It really is a human head. Whose head is this? When did our sect start issuing missions for severed heads?" The deacon too wore a shocked and doubtful expression, and could not help but recoil slightly. It took her a long while to calm her racing heart, before she began examining the face of the head. The more she looked, the more familiar it seemed. She immediately pulled out a yellowed mission ledger from the corner, which recorded all missions issued over the years with detailed descriptions and accompanying illustrations. After flipping through the pages for some time, she finally found a mission with a portrait matching the severed head. She gasped in shock. This mission really does exist. Let me see what the exact details of the mission are. The cold, aloof woman was just as astonished as the rest of the female disciples. When had the sect ever issued such a mission? Why did none of them have any memory of it? After thinking for a long moment, the cold, aloof woman's heart skipped a beat, as she suddenly recalled a mission issued several years prior. The extermination of the Black Lotus Bandits, who had occupied the border of the Spirit Beast Sect, but no one had ever dared take this mission after it was posted, and it had been gradually forgotten over time. That was the Black Lotus Bandits. Even weaker sect elders would struggle to come out unharmed if they faced them alone, let alone Fang Chen, who looked like nothing more than a new disciple. How could he possibly have killed the leader of the Black Lotus Bandits? But after the deacon finished checking the detailed contents of the mission, she let out a deafening cry of shock. Heavens. This is actually the Spirit Beast Sect's #1 priority mission. The moment they heard it was the #1 priority mission, every female disciple in the mission hall was utterly stunned. They burst into excited discussion. #1 priority mission. Our Spirit Beast Sect has only issued 3 such missions in the past 10 years. Did I hear that right? Aren't #1 priority missions only meant to be completed by elders of the sect level? How could a foreign disciple possibly have finished it? The cold, aloof woman's beautiful eyes trembled, and she walked quickly over to ask, "Is this mission the one to exterminate the Black Lotus Bandits?" The deacon's voice shook with excitement. "This is exactly the Black Lotus Bounty Order. It has been 5 years since it was posted, and someone has finally completed it." Upon confirming it was indeed the Black Lotus Bounty Order, the aloof, frosty woman stared at Fang Chen in utter disbelief and spoke. "Junior brother, might I ask which esteemed master's disciple you are?" Fang Chen had no wish to draw more trouble over his reputation, and replied, "Qingyun's sect, my surname is Fang." He then urged, "Please, deacon, verify the mission item as quickly as possible." The deacon snapped back to his senses and immediately inspected the head with meticulous care. After thorough multi-point verification, he revealed a delighted expression and said, "This is indeed Black Lotus's head. Per the mission requirements, retrieving Black Lotus's head counts as completing the mission, and you have fulfilled the task perfectly." However, the deacon spoke with an apologetic look. "The rewards for the Black Lotus Bounty Order are extremely precious, and we must first request the sect master's approval. Please wait a moment. Honored guest from another sect, I will go report to the sect master immediately." Fang Chen thought to himself, "So we have to alert Gong Ki." He was somewhat wary of meeting this female sect master, who had been overly enthusiastic toward him, but as this was the sect's rule, he could only comply. He glanced around, preparing to find a seat to sit down. The aloof woman broke into a smile and said, "Huiyan, why haven't you offered junior brother Fang a seat?" Hearing this, the female disciple with dry, sallow hair quickly carried over 2 stools. Someone politely handed 1 stool to Fang Chen, then handed the other to the aloof woman and said, "Please take a seat, junior brother Fang." The aloof woman sat down as instructed. Her eyes brimming with curiosity, she asked, "I heard Black Lotus is a powerful cultivator at the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm. You actually managed to slay her, junior brother Fang." Fang Chen sat down casually and replied humbly, "It was nothing but luck." Luck, the aloof woman also assumed Fang Chen had likely only gotten lucky. She had pondered this secretly. If she encountered a heavily injured Black Lotus, with her cultivation at the 8th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, she could also slay her. It was not strange that Fang Chen could kill her, after all. The gap between the 8th and 9th layers of Foundation Establishment was not particularly large. It was almost certain Fang Chen had taken advantage of such an opportunity. Then she asked in a probing tone, "Junior brother Fang is far too humble. This senior sister wishes to know, was the battle against Black Lotus very dangerous?" The surrounding female disciples also cast curious gazes over, all eager to learn exactly how formidable Black Lotus's combat strength was. But Fang Chen still answered concisely, "Not bad, the process went relatively smoothly." Smoothly, the aloof woman grew even more convinced that Fang Chen had taken an easy opportunity. How brutal and ferocious Black Lotus was, anyone could imagine even without thinking. Killing her should have been immensely difficult. If he claimed it went smoothly, Black Lotus must have been gravely wounded, or even already dead, and he had cut off her head to claim the credit. Thinking of this, she could not help feeling a twinge of jealousy. There truly were people with such absurdly good fortune to stumble upon such a massive, heaven-sent opportunity. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, a carrier pigeon suddenly flew over, a slip of paper clamped in its beak. It placed the slip on the deacon's counter, then turned and departed. Several female disciples did not dare to open and read it casually, but the aloof woman was accustomed to being domineering and spoke. "This is a message for the deacon from a disciple out on a long journey, is it not? Let me see it." She picked it up casually, opened it, and her face filled with astonishment. This is sent back by senior sister Zhang Zumu. It concerns the Black Lotus Bandits. However, when she looked closely at the content on the slip, she shot up from her chair as if struck by lightning, her beautiful eyes staring in horror at the figure of the calmly seated young man beside her. Her uncharacteristically flustered reaction left all the female disciples extremely surprised. Huiyan, who stood beside her, craned her neck to look at the content on the slip and read aloud. On the 3rd day of the 9th month of the Jiazi year, we passed through the Black Wind Mountain range at the border and encountered the leader of the Black Lotus Bandits, only to discover to our shock that her strength had reached the Golden Core realm. Fortunately, Qin sect disciple Fang Chen took action and slew her under his sword with his own power, so we were able to remain safe. That night, when we passed through the mountain range, we found a total of 8 corpses of the remaining Black Lotus Bandits, which should be junior brother Fang Chen's doing. With this, the Black Lotus Bandits are completely annihilated. We hope the mission hall is informed and makes preparations to issue the bounty reward to junior brother Fang Chen. After finishing reading, Huiyan herself was stunned, staring blankly at the slip of paper, not blinking once. All the female disciples in the hall were also dumbfounded, their minds echoing with that short but explosively shocking information. Black Lotus was not at the 9th layer of the Foundation establishment realm at all, she was at the Golden Core realm. She was not heavily injured, nor already dead when her head was cut off. Fang Chen had slain her under his sword entirely by his own strength. They stared blankly at Fang Chen, their eyes filled with the same horrified awe as the aloof woman's. "Why, you junior brother Fang, you can slay Golden Core realm powerhouses," the aloof woman stammered out in shock. Fang Chen was speechless. Zhang Zumu's carrier pigeon message had arrived neither too early nor too late, showing up right in front of so many people. He did not know how to answer, so he pretended not to hear and sat silently meditating. Only then did the aloof woman realize she had asked a very offensive question. The carrier pigeon message had already stated everything clearly. Asking again would be tantamount to doubting Fang Chen's strength, wouldn't it? She hurried behind the counter, poured a cup of spirit tea, brought it over, and said, "Junior brother Fang, have some tea to moisten your throat." This scene left all the female disciples present with an absurd feeling. This aloof woman was famously arrogant and cold in the sect. Apart from the elders and the sect master, she never treated anyone kindly. Yet she was actively serving tea to someone of the same generation. This was absolutely unprecedented. Since the other party was being so polite, Fang Chen naturally could not put on airs. He took the tea with both hands and said, "Thank you, senior sister." The aloof woman's eyes were filled with deep curiosity, and she asked, "Might I ask junior brother Fang, how did you slay Black Lotus? Could you tell us about it?" Watching the numerous female disciples gazing at him with eyes full of anticipation, as if waiting for a story, Fang Chen spoke with a helpless, amused expression. "A life or death battle is decided in mere moves. There is hardly any lengthy process to recount." The cold, aloof woman nodded in deep agreement. True duels between masters never drag on like ordinary friendly spars with endless back and forth exchanges. Most are settled within a few rounds, and the moment either party reveals a flaw, the outcome is a brutal fate of either death or grievous injury. However, this offhand remark was clearly not enough to sate her curiosity. After a moment of thought, she volunteered, "Junior brother Fang, this senior sister is of little talent, but I wish to ask for a few pointers on killing techniques from you." Gazing at Fang Chen, who was clearly several years younger than her, a faint spark of defiance lingered in the depths of her heart. She still found it hard to believe Fang Chen could slay Black Lotus at her peak strength. Could it be that Black Lotus had terrible luck and encountered some mishap mid-battle? Fang Chen said, "Senior sister overestimates me. They are hardly worthy of being called killing techniques. I merely had good fortune. My cultivation method happened to counter hers." How could the cold, aloof woman give up so easily? She spoke sharply. "Is junior brother Fang looking down on the cultivation methods of our Spirit Beast Sect? Though we primarily practice battle techniques that coordinate with spirit beasts, that does not mean our own cultivation methods are weak." Fang Chen could tell she was intent on competing with him. If he did not let her give up, she would pester him endlessly. The deacon had only left a short while ago, and no one knew when he would return. To avoid unnecessary trouble, he nodded slightly. "Very well, then I shall spar with senior sister." He suddenly noticed the cold, aloof woman had come empty-handed, without bringing her battle spirit pet with her. This meant she could not unleash her full strength, so he changed his words mid-sentence. "How about this? I shall make a fool of myself first and demonstrate a set of cultivation methods. If senior sister feels confident enough to take a few of my moves, we can spar after that." This made the cold, aloof woman feel slighted. She was a warrior at the 8th layer of Foundation Establishment realm, after all. Did she need to measure her worth before sparring with others?
A flicker of displeasure crossed her pretty face as she said, "Junior brother, you truly look down on our Spirit Beast Sect far too much."
The surrounding Spirit Beast Sect disciples also caught onto the implication, all casting unfriendly gazes his way as they muttered among themselves. How arrogant. No one even knows the exact details of how he killed Black Lotus. It is not even certain if he just got lucky, yet he is already this conceited. Senior sister was too lenient with him. That is why he dares to belittle her and our entire Spirit Beast Sect. Fang Chen pretended not to hear, rose to his feet, and walked to the center of the main hall. Without a word, he directly unleashed the roaming dragon palm, striking out with the 2 palm techniques, Startled Dragon and Royal Dragon, in quick succession. The force of his strikes made the air hum and tremble, with faint dragon roars audible. Previously noisy main hall fell silent instantly, every person present stunned by the immense power of this palm technique.
Someone whispered among the crowd, "He actually does have real skill. The power of this palm technique is almost on par with an Earth grade cultivation method. No wonder he is so
confident. Senior sister might really not be able to take his strikes."
The cold, aloof woman frowned slightly, muttering under her breath, "It is indeed powerful, but it does not look impossible to block." Until Fang Chen struck out with the strongest move, Dragon Extinction. A clear, resounding dragon roar rang out, shaking the bodies of all the disciples present. The immense force of the palm stirred up gusts of swirling wind, lifting the skirts and tangling the hair of the female disciples standing closest, prompting a chorus of screams across the hall. The cold, aloof woman was shocked. The power of this palm strike was at minimum that of an Earth-grade cultivation method. There was no way she could block it. No wonder Fang Chen had asked her to observe his techniques first. That was not all. After finishing the palm technique, Fang Chen took out his weapon, drawing his black sword to unleash the sword heart meteor engraving. This was a genuine Earth-grade cultivation method. Just the first strike, light-splitting sword, let out a powerful explosive roar that shook the cold, aloof woman's delicate body to the core. She thought to herself that if she were to face this sword strike, she would definitely be sent flying to the ground. The next 2 strikes grew even more powerful, one after another, especially the final strike, Heaven and Earth Starfall. Just its terrifying aura alone made her heart pound wildly, let alone parry the explosive sword Caihe unleashed. She pressed a hand to her wildly thumping chest, fine beads of cold sweat breaking out on her forehead. All thoughts of Fang Chen having killed Black Lotus by luck vanished from her heart, as did any idea of sparring with him. With this level of strength, she would not last a single exchange against him. What was even more daunting was that Fang Chen sheathed his sword and asked, "I have other cultivation methods as well. Would senior sister like to test them too?"
No need. The cold, aloof woman hurriedly cut him off. She could not even withstand the techniques he had already shown, let alone his hidden trump card techniques.
She finally understood that Fang Chen was not being arrogant. The gap between their strengths was simply far too large.
If they really held a so-called simulated battle, he might seriously injure her, or even kill her on the spot.
That was why Fang Chen had demonstrated a portion of his techniques first, to let her gauge the difference for herself. At this realization, her face burned with shame. She had been so aggressive earlier, demanding to learn killing techniques from him, yet now she did not even have the courage to fight him. She said awkwardly, "Junior brother Fang's strength is unrivaled. I shall not make a fool of myself by displaying my meager skills before a master." She quickly changed the subject, picking up Fang Chen's teacup and handing it to him, saying, "Junior brother Fang must be exhausted. Have some tea." This turn of events suited Fang Chen perfectly, and he was glad to avoid trouble. He was just about to take the tea when a sharp, furious shout came from outside the hall. The voice arrived before its owner, Lu Xinghe. "If you have a problem, take it out on me." The newcomer was none other than Lu Xinghe, who had rushed over in great haste. She had been overjoyed when she learned Fang Chen had come to the Spirit Beast Sect, but when she heard he had taught Lu Xinghe's cousin a lesson and had gone to the mission hall, she hurried over. Immediately, she knew that today was the monthly day for Spirit Beast Sect disciples to hand in their missions, so Lu Xinghe would definitely come to the mission hall. Afraid the two might run into each other, she had sped all the way here. However, the moment she stormed into the main hall, she saw a scene that left her dumbfounded. Lu Xinghe, that arrogant, haughty Lu Xinghe who thought herself above everyone else, was actually serving tea to Fang Chen. She was dazed for a moment, wondering if she had misread the situation. Lu Xinghe never showed this much respect to anyone except her own master after all. She walked in with a suspicious expression, staring warily at Lu Xinghe as she said, "You didn't put anything unsavory in this tea, did you?" Yi Lingxing and Yuan Ji, you had been on bad terms for a long time.
Right now, she was politely serving tea to Fang Chen, hoping to win his good favor and make a friend of him, only for Yuan Ji you to jump out and question if the tea was tampered with.
Who would not fly into a rage at that, Yuan Jiyu? Yi Lingxing snapped sharply. Junior brother Fang is present, so I shall not bicker with you today, but watch your words, or do not blame me for being rude to you. Fang Chen was taken aback for a moment. Judging by how the two women were acting, it seemed their relationship was not very good. He took the tea and took a sip right in front of Yuan Jiyu, actively diffusing the conflict between the two. He said, "Senior sister Yuan, you are mistaken. This senior sister was only kind enough to pour me a cup of tea, that is all."
Kind enough to pour tea. Yuan Jiyu could not detect a single shred of good intent from Yi Lingxing no matter how she observed her, and warned, "Junior brother Fang, you have just arrived at the Spirit Beast Sect and do not
yet know how tyrannically the senior sister you speak of runs rampant across the sect. She is a weasel paying New Year's greetings to a chicken up to no good. Do not trust her." Yi Lingxing clenched her dainty fist, looking ready to duel Yuan Jiyu to the death. She was already overjoyed at the chance to befriend Fang Chen, yet Yuan Jiyu was exposing her flaws so openly. But she could tell Yuan Jiyu and Fang Chen knew each other, and appeared to be quite familiar at that, which made her dare not lash out rashly. She turned to Fang Chen, her tone heavy with grievance. "I did no such thing. Junior brother Fang, do not believe her nonsense." Yuan Jiyu retorted sharply, "It is your words that cannot be trusted." Yi Lingxing forced down the surging urge to attack, saying, "You think you are not tyrannical yourself, you have no right to criticize others." Yuan Jiyu said, "At least I am not as arrogant and dismissive of everyone as you are." "You are the one who is arrogant and dismissive of others. It is you." The many female disciples in the hall stared dumbfounded at the pair, bickering fiercely, their faces etched with shock. These two women, who usually ran roughshod over the entire sect, were actually fighting tooth and nail to win Fang Chen's trust. They argued for a long while, but neither could gain the upper hand or reach any conclusion. Yuan Jiyu said furiously, "Junior brother Fang, do you trust her, or do you trust me?" Yi Lingxing also spoke up, "Junior brother Fang, ever since you arrived at the mission hall, have I ever treated you poorly? Are my words truly unworthy of your trust?" Both stared at Fang Chen with burning gazes, leaving him stuck in an extremely awkward position. Just then, a female disciple rushed into the hall from outside, hurried to Yi Lingxing's side, and whispered in a low voice, "Senior sister, your cousin is here. He is searching all over the sect." "You? Lu Xinghe," Yi Lingxing's pretty brows furrowed. Why did he have to arrive at this exact moment? She was at the critical juncture of competing with Yuan Jiyu for Fang Chen's trust, but Lu Xinghe seemed to have urgent business, so she could not ignore him. She could only speak to Fang Chen unwillingly. "Junior brother Fang, I have some business to attend to and will be right back." With that, she hurried away at a rapid pace. Only then did Yuan Jiyu break into a bright smile, revealing her pearly white teeth. "Junior brother Fang, it has been a long time." She looked Fang Chen over with a cheerful smile, and found that after a month apart, Fang Chen had been thoroughly reborn. His skin was crystal clear and fair, as if carved from unpolished jade, without the slightest blemish, making her feel a faint twinge of envy. She teased, "No wonder this proud woman was willing to serve you tea, Junior brother Fang." Fang Chen rolled his eyes. Was she trying to spread even more ridiculous rumors about him? "What brings you here, senior sister Yuan?" Fang Chen asked. Yuan Jiyu said, "I was worried about you, of course. I heard you offended Yi Lingxing's cousin, so I feared you would be targeted. Who knew I was overthinking things? Your face alone already won her over completely." Wait, Fang Chen was stunned for a moment, and said, "That senior sister, just now, is Yi Lingxing." Yuan Jiyu was even more shocked. "What? You did not know who she was?" So all this time, she was the reinforcement Lu Xinghe had called in to back him up. Fang Chen was a little speechless, and muttered, "It seems she is not that difficult to deal with. If I reason with her properly, she might not necessarily take Lu Xinghe's side." But Yuan Jiyu frowned and said, "How is that possible? You and Yi Lingxing have only met once. Lu Xinghe is the cousin she is immensely proud of. You injured him. How could she possibly let you off?" "To avoid unnecessary trouble, come with me to meet the sect master. She will be very happy to learn you are here." She knew better than anyone how much regret Gong Ki held over Fang Chen's departure. If she learned he had come to the Spirit Beast Sect, she would definitely be overjoyed. Fang Chen did not mind meeting Gong Ki at all. "Now is not the right time. I am still waiting for the local deacon to bring over my mission reward." Yuan Jiyu was taken aback. Mission reward? She was bewildered. The Spirit Beast Sect rarely releases external missions, after all. Even on the rare occasions they do, the tasks are of extreme difficulty, far beyond the capabilities of a low
ranking disciple like Fang Chen. What mission did you complete? Fang Chen answered, the Black Lotus Bounty Order. Lu Xinghe's eyes flew wide open. Junior brother Fang, since when have you taken to telling jokes? The Black Lotus Bounty Order has existed for untold years. Even Golden Core Realm cultivators have attempted to exterminate the Black Lotus Bandits over this time, but as outlaws, they come and go without a trace. One cannot even locate them, let alone wipe them out. What realm is Fang Chen even at, for him to have completed this mission? Surely this is a jest. Yet mere moments later, a sight that left Lu Xinghe dumbfounded unfolded before her eyes. The mission hall deacon came sprinting back, panting heavily, his face glowing with unbridled excitement. Junior brother Fang, Sect Master Gong requests your presence at the Sect Master Peak. She wishes to personally meet the one who completed the Black Lotus Bounty Order. This feat has alarmed her directly, and she is consumed with curiosity as to what extraordinary talent managed to pull off such an impossible task, hence her personal summons. Fang Chen pondered briefly before nodding. Very well. As Lu Xinghe suggested earlier, this will allow me to avoid conflict with Lu Xinghe and her sibling. Lead the way. Fang Chen followed behind the mission hall deacon, but after walking for some time, he noticed Lu Xinghe had not kept pace. He turned around in confusion. Senior Sister Yuan, is something the matter? Lu Xinghe snapped back to her senses abruptly, staring at Fang Chen in sheer shock. Why, you actually completed the Black Lotus Bounty Order. How in the world did you manage that? She could not fathom it no matter how hard she thought. How could Fang Chen, all alone, pull off such a ridiculously high-difficulty mission? Fang Chen chuckled lightly. Sect Master Gong will ask the very same question later. I shall answer both of you then. Only then did Lu Xinghe, her heart still brimming with doubt, walk side by side with him and depart. Outside the great hall, Lu Xinghe looked at the blood-covered Lu Xinghe and listened to his tearful, bitter accusations, and fury erupted within her. Preposterous! Who dares to be so bold as to disregard me, Lu Xinghe, to bully you like this, and still dare to remain in my Spirit Beast Sect? Is this a deliberate provocation against me? Lu Xinghe embellished his story further, sneering. Exactly. That bastard is insufferably arrogant. He even said, so what if your cousin comes? She doesn't even have the qualifications to cross blades with me. He is completely lawless. He had searched the entire Spirit Beast Sect for Lu Xinghe to no avail, and had once intended to give up. After all, after so much time had passed, Fang Chen would have long fled without a trace. But when he reached the sect gates, he overheard a conversation between several female disciples, learning that Fang Chen had not only not left, but had actually come to the Spirit Beast Sect. This enraged Lu Xinghe to no end. Fang Chen was clearly not taking him seriously in the slightest. Thus he turned back and inquired everywhere, and finally, after much difficulty, learned that his cousin had just returned to the sect and was handing in a mission at the mission hall. Hearing Lu Xinghe's words, Lu Xinghe came to her senses. Who would be fool enough to spout such offensive, trouble-making words for no reason? Most likely, Lu Xinghe was stirring up strife, fabricating those words to anger her. Even so, this man had injured her cousin, and even knowing that she would be invoked in the matter, still dared to set foot in the Spirit Beast Sect. That was no small slight against her, and a lesson was unavoidable. What is his name, and what is he doing in the Spirit Beast Sect? Lu Xinghe demanded, her face dark with rage. I will order my men to drag him out immediately. She had no shortage of followers. At her command, scores of people would scramble to hunt him down. Lu Xinghe was overjoyed. With how fiercely his cousin doted on and protected him, Fang Chen would definitely suffer a fate worse than death this time. He blurted out immediately, I have no idea what a disciple from an outside sect is doing in the Spirit Beast Sect. He most likely came specifically to provoke you. At that very moment, Fang Chen and Lu Xinghe happened to walk out of the mission hall. Lu Xinghe caught sight of them from the corner of his eye and was ecstatic beyond measure, pointing wildly at Fang Chen and yelling, Cousin, cousin, that's him. Lu Xinghe looked in the direction he was pointing and froze in shock. Fang Chen, he is talking about Fang Chen. Lu Xinghe asked, still uncertain, You mean the man who bullied you is that cultivator carrying 2 swords? Lu Xinghe snarled viciously. Yes, that's exactly him. He said you don't even have the qualifications to fight him. He was giddy with delight in his heart. With his cousin's fiery temper, she would definitely not spare Fang Chen. And as for Fang Chen's meager strength, what chance would he stand against her? Yet, to his utter disbelief, after a brief moment of stunned silence, Lu Xinghe said calmly, He is not wrong. I truly do not have the qualifications to cross blades with him. Lu Xinghe was stunned for a moment, then blurted out, "Cousin, I didn't say that, Fang Chen did." Xing gave him a long, meaningful look, then said, "Come with me." She moved with light, graceful steps, walking toward Fang Chen. Though Lu Xinghe was confused, he still assumed Xing was going to avenge him, so he followed right after, brimming with anticipation. Yuanjiyu also noticed this scene, her expression shifting slightly as she spoke. "We have been cornered at the entrance. Junior brother Fang, leave first. Once you reach the sect master, she will not dare act against you. I will hold her off." Gazing at Xing's unsightly expression, Yuanjiyu grew even more anxious in her heart. This matter would certainly not end well. Fang Chen furrowed his brow slightly, yet did not leave, putting aside whether Xing had come to make trouble for him. Even if she had, ought she not know her own limits? Her strength was far too weak to cause him even the slightest inconvenience. "Senior Sister Yuan, let us wait and see how things unfold. Perhaps, Senior Sister, ye has come to speak reason, after all." Yuanjiyu rolled her eyes sharply. "Speak reason, don't cling to such foolish hopes. Leave at once, or it will be too late. This woman is vicious beyond measure. If a fight breaks out later, I will not be able to protect you." She was at a loss for words for a moment. Fang Chen's talent in all aspects was so extraordinary that it had left her astounded time and again, often making her feel like a useless good for nothing. Yet when it came to the treachery of human hearts, how could he be as naive as a child? Beating someone's younger cousin was the same as slapping them across the face. There was no way they would ever speak reason with you. Fang Chen remained rooted to the spot and spoke calmly. "There is truly no need for that. I can resolve this matter on my own. Senior Sister, there is no cause for alarm." Yuanjiyu grew somewhat angry. Why did it seem as if she was sticking her nose where it did not belong? She shared no blood or close ties with Fang Chen, and had no obligation to help him in the first place. If she had not valued his exceptional talent, she would never have bothered to step in. "Fine, since junior brother Fang has his own way of handling this senior sister will not meddle in affairs that are none of my concern." She spoke with a cold, stern expression. She was determined to see how Fang Chen would withstand Xing's wrath, and whether he would come begging her for help when the time came. While the two were speaking, Xing had already arrived before them, accompanied by Lu Xinghe. Lu Xinghe faced Fang Chen once again at close range, his face twisted with malice. "Fang, I admire your audacity. You have committed a heinous offense, yet you still dare to linger in the Spirit Beast Sect. Do you have even the slightest respect for my cousin, Xing?" As soon as these words left his mouth, passing disciples gathered to watch the commotion. Also drawn to the scene were two elderly female cultivators, one of whom wore the elder robes of the Spirit Beast Sect. She was the great elder of the Spirit Beast Sect, Elder Gu Nianchen. The other was Elder Ming Yulian, the great elder of the Heavenly Sound Sect, who had come to visit the Spirit Beast Sect. Ming Yulian remarked, "It appears there is a conflict among your sect's disciples. Will you not go take a look, Elder Gu?" Gu Nianchen frowned. Today was a momentous occasion, with the great elder of the Heavenly Sound Sect paying a formal visit. Which Peak's disciples were so blind to etiquette as to stir up trouble at such a time? She could not afford to let Elder Ming look down on their sect. Gu Nianchen immediately lifted her gaze to look over and could not help but let out a soft gasp. Why is that a disciple from an outside sect? Gazing at Fang Chen's robes bearing the insignia of the Azure Cloud sect, Gu Nianchen was filled with surprise. When she looked at the other disciple, she grew even more puzzled. Xing, how did this outsider disciple provoke that girl? Who did not know of Xing's temperament? As an exceptionally talented and outstanding disciple of the Spirit Beast Sect, she was proud and arrogant. She never showed a kind face to anyone save the sect master and the elders, and anyone who offended her would never be let off lightly. Gu Nianchen could not wrap her head around it. How had a newly arrived outsider disciple ended up clashing with Xing? Ming Yulian said in surprise, "That tall young woman is your Spirit Beast Sect's immensely talented Xing. I heard she can control 3 demonic beasts at the same time, making her one of most exceptional prodigies in your entire sect. Is she about to spar with that outsider disciple?" Though she had only been passing by, she could not help but stop to watch, eager to see if Xing would make a move, and if her strength truly lived up to the rumors. Gu Nianchen, who had originally intended to stop the conflict, abandoned the thought. It would be good to let Ming Yulian see the prowess of the Spirit Beast Sect's prodigy, so that she would not look down on the Spirit Beast Sect during the upcoming negotiations. "I did not expect Elder Ming to know of this disciple. That is correct. She is a rare prodigy capable of controlling 3 demonic beasts simultaneously. That outsider disciple has provoked her. I am afraid he is in for a world of pain." Just as she finished speaking, something happened that made her expression freeze, left Ming Yulian stunned, and caused Lu Xinghe and Yuan Jiyu to turn to stone on the spot. After Yi Lingxing walked up to Fang Chen, she stopped in her tracks. The volcanic eruption of scolding everyone had expected never came. Instead, she bowed her head slightly and said sincerely, "Junior brother Fang, I have come to apologize to you on behalf of my younger cousin. Please forgive his ignorance." Silence fell over the entire surroundings, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Even the soft rustle of withered leaves falling to the ground was distinctly audible. Countless gazes stared at the unfolding scene before them in stunned disbelief. Only after a long moment did the crowd gradually snap back to their senses. "Senior sister Yi is bowing and apologizing to this outer sect disciple. Have my eyes deceived me? Is this truly the senior sister Yi I know? Her younger cousin was bullied, yet she does not stand up for him, and instead bows and apologizes to the other party." It was not just them. Even Yuan Jiyu, who knew Fang Chen extremely well, was frozen on the spot. The expected provocation, reprimand, or even potential battle never came to pass. Instead, a scene she could never have dreamed of even if she racked her brains unfolded before her. That arrogant, cold, overbearing, and unruly woman was actually bowing and admitting her fault to Fang Chen. She wondered if Yi Lingxing had truly fallen ill, for she seemed to have become a completely different person. Lu Xinghe was even more dumbfounded. Instead of causing trouble for Fang Chen, his older cousin had bowed and apologized on his behalf. When he came to his senses, he immediately flew into a rage of shame. "Cousin, have you lost your mind? He was clearly the one who bullied me. You don't even stand up for me, and instead apologize on my behalf." "Why should I apologize? What right do you have to make me?" Yi Lingxing's expression shifted sharply, and she snapped, "Shut your mouth. You will not be disrespectful to junior brother Fang." After learning that the one who had bullied Lu Xinghe was Fang Chen, her heart was as clear as a mirror. If Fang Chen were the type to bully others with his power, he would not have demonstrated several sets of cultivation methods earlier before asking her to reconsider if she still wished to spar. By all accounts, Fang Chen was no troublemaker. Furthermore, given Fang Chen's strength, if he had truly intended to harm Lu Xinghe, would Lu Xinghe have only suffered minor injuries? Fang Chen had clearly held back tremendously. Thus, she could practically piece together the truth on her own. More likely than not, her arrogant, conceited younger cousin had been aggressive and presumptuously attacked Fang Chen first, only to be struck back. Unwilling to swallow this humiliation, he had run to her to twist the facts and lodge a false complaint. At this thought, her disappointment in Lu Xinghe deepened, and she barked, "Get over here right now and properly apologize to junior brother Fang." Lu Xinghe could not believe his ears. The backing he had gone to such lengths to find was not only refusing to help him, but was even forcing him to apologize to Fang Chen. How could he possibly tolerate this? "Yi Lingxing, have you lost your mind? Make me apologize to him. Who does he think he is? He doesn't deserve it. If you're so spineless you love bowing to others, go do it yourself. Don't think him a weak-willed coward like you." Lu Xinghe shouted recklessly, paying no heed to the public setting. His outburst drew whispers and pointed stares from the surrounding female disciples directed at Yi Lingxing, causing her to lose face tremendously. Fang Chen had no wish to cause a rift between the cousins over him, so he said, "Senior sister Yi, for the sake of the fact that we were once teammates on the same mission, I will let bygones be bygones, let the matter drop." Yi Lingxing was shocked. Her younger cousin had actually been teammates with Fang Chen. Not only had he squandered this perfect opportunity to befriend Fang Chen, he had even gotten into a conflict with him. Rage boiled up inside her, and she glared fiercely at Lu Xinghe. "You useless piece of trash, who can't be helped even if propped up against a wall. Do you have any idea what you just missed out on?" Lu Xinghe laughed in rage. "Yi Lingxing, you're the useless piece of trash who can't be helped. Who even is Fang Chen that you're so eager to fawn over him?" He could not fathom what was so great about Fang Chen that every woman who met him would completely change their attitude. First his junior sister, Qin Caihe, then Song Biyao at the sect gate, and now even his own cousin was acting like this. He could not understand it. What right did a good, for nothing like Fang Chen, have to win the favor of so many outstanding women? All of this should rightfully belong to him, Lu Xinghe, and no one else. The mission hall deacon, who was waiting to bring Fang Chen to report back to the sect master, spoke up to urge him, "Junior brother Fang, the sect master is still waiting for you. Let us depart." Fang Chen also wished to obtain the Earth Phoenix Grass Marrow as soon as possible, so he nodded and followed along. Lu Xinghe had yet to vent his pent-up rage, so how could he let Fang Chen leave? He roared, "Stop right there.
Did I give you permission to leave? Settle our scores properly before you go. He stepped forward and blocked the group's path. The mission hall deacon flew into a rage and snapped. How dare you? You dare to block someone summoned by our sect master? Lu Xinghe scoffed in disdain. What important matter could sect master Gong possibly have for such a nobody? It's nothing more than the spirit medicine escort mission, isn't it? If anyone should be summoned, it's me. I am the rightful team leader. The mission hall deacon was instantly enraged. She stepped forward and slapped Lu Xinghe hard across the face, leaving a bright red palm print on his cheek, and snapped impatiently, "Get out of my way. You unreasonable fool." Lu Xinghe took the slap, but grew even more defiant. He ground his teeth and roared, "Fine, so Spirit Beast Sect favors disciples from other sects over us, is that it? I will immediately return and report this to our Myriad Sword Sect Master, so he knows how Spirit Beast Sect discriminates between disciples of Azure Cloud Sect and Myriad Sword Sect." The mission hall deacon was seething with rage, for he had dared to drag relations between the two sects into this. Seeing this, she decided to stop hiding the truth and said, "Junior Brother Fang eliminated the entire Black Lotus Bandits. That is why the Sect Master summoned him. The mission you completed was merely a Tier 3 mission. Do you truly think you deserve a summons from the Sect Master? Get out of my sight." Eliminated the Black Lotus Bandits, Fang Chen. Lu Xinghe thought he had heard the most ridiculous joke in the world and laughed loudly. "Are you all idiots? You actually believe he could wipe out the Black Lotus Bandits?" But mid-laugh, he noticed his cousin staring at him in silence, Qin Caihe and Lu Xinghe, Meng in the distance also watching him calmly, and even the mission hall deacon gazing at him with open contempt, as if he were a wild monkey rolling around and throwing a tantrum. Lu Xinghe's laughter gradually died in his throat, and a sense of unease began to gnaw at his heart. Lu Xinghe rubbed her temples, waved her hand wearily, and said, "Just get out of here. Don't ever call me your cousin again. I can't afford to lose this much face." Qin Caihe could finally hold back no longer, and spoke the truth. "Senior Brother Lu, how long will you persist in your stubborn delusion? Have you never wondered why we managed to escape safely from the encirclement of the Black Lotus Bandits, and why when Black Lotus himself caught up to us, he ended up beheaded instead?" Lu Xinghe stammered in shock, and, "No, isn't there an expert secretly protecting us?" Qin Caihe rolled her eyes. Why would an expert powerful enough to kill Black Lotus go out of his way to protect a bunch of low-rank martial artists like us? Do you have a lofty status or powerful backing, Lu Xinghe? Or is our mission so exceptionally important? Lu Xinghe gradually came to his senses. It was true. What right did a bunch of nobodies like them have to be protected by such a formidable expert? If it was not some hidden expert, then who could it be? His gaze slowly turned to Fang Chen, as beads of cold sweat rapidly broke out across his forehead. Qin Caihe then gave the final answer. "That is right. The one you seek is not far away, but right before your eyes." Qin Caihe continued, "The expert you speak of is none other than Junior Brother Fang." As she spoke these words, she glanced at Fang Chen with a trace of reverence in her eyes, and added, "After you fled, it was Junior Brother Fang who took action and slew all 8 bandits. When Black Lotus caught up to us, he cut him down single-handedly. That is why Junior Sister Chu and I chose to acknowledge Junior Brother Fang as our captain instead. Do you understand everything now?" Rumble for the conceited Lu Xinghe. This answer was akin to a thunderclap from the blue. The expert he had long been grateful to was none other than that useless outcast from Qingyan's sect he had once scorned. Lu Xinghe also sighed softly, saying, "Do you understand now why I was so disappointed that you failed to live up to expectations?" Lu Xinghe was immediately filled with shame and regret. A powerhouse capable of slaying Black Lotus would be at the very peak of the pyramid in any sect. A mid-rank disciple like him did not even have the right to speak to such a figure, let alone befriend him. And one such powerhouse had been right before his eyes, traveling with him for days. He had not made the slightest attempt to befriend him, and had even offended him. However, he was a proud and arrogant man. Even if he felt regret in his heart, how could he admit it out loud? Who cares about befriending him anyway? It is not like Qin Caihe and Lu Xinghe, Meng have gained any benefits from fawning over him. This was the last shred of his stubborn pride. What benefits had the two women gained from following Fang Chen? It seemed like none at all. The mission hall deacon held people like Lu Xinghe in utter contempt. They scorned those weaker than themselves and envied those stronger. He could not help but mock him. "You seem to have forgotten that with Junior Brother Fang's strength, he is qualified to take on Tier 1 and Tier 2 missions in our Spirit Beast Sect.
He will be reforming his team and selecting new members. Whether he will keep junior sister Qin and junior sister Chu on the team, I cannot say for sure, but he will absolutely never choose you as a teammate again.
Let us go.
With that, he led Fang Chen away in a swagger. Qin Caihe and Chu Xing, Meng's eyes lit up immediately. The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion had assigned a considerable number of Tier 1 and Tier 2 missions to every sect, but each sect only had a limited number of elite disciples, meaning some high-level missions were fated to go uncompleted. Under such circumstances, they were more than happy to have disciples from other sects who came to hand in missions help complete these tasks to reduce the mission burden on their own sect. Fang Chen was so powerful, how could the Spirit Beast Sect let him slip through their fingers? They would definitely arrange higher-tier missions with far richer rewards for him. Realizing this, the two women hurried to follow after them. Yuan Jiu glanced at the pale, stiff-faced Lu Xinghe and said with a dry laugh, "Senior Sister Yi, your cousin is quite amusing." For once, Lu Xinghe did not argue with her. She said coldly, "I have no such cousin." With that, she also joined the group heading for the Sect Master Peak. She wanted to see what the Sect Master would say when he summoned Fang Chen. Though Fang Chen's completion of the Black Lotus Bounty was indeed extraordinary among disciples, the Sect Master's vision was incomparably lofty. She estimated he would only be somewhat curious about Fang Chen, and at most would offer a few words of praise. After the crowd dispersed, the two female elders had very different expressions on their faces. Ming Yulian wore a strange expression. Elder Gu, if I remember correctly, that Qingyan sect disciple named Fang Chen is that disciple with no spiritual root that everyone has been gossiping about lately, right? I heard he was fortunate enough to be taken as a disciple by your sect master, but has achieved nothing up to now. Why is your sect's beloved heavenly daughter so deferential to him? Gu Nianshan's old face burned with embarrassment. They had been standing too far away to hear the conversation clearly, but the sight of Yi Lingxing bowing repeatedly and scolding her own cousin made her cheeks flush with shame. If word got out that the top elite of the Spirit Beast Sect was bowing and scraping to a useless outcast from Qingyan sect, it would be a catastrophe. She stammered there must be some reason for her behavior. Let us speak no more of this. You have had your fill of walking around, have you not, Elder Ming? Let us return to the Sect Master Peak. I imagine your sect's disciples have almost finished their comprehension session. Ming Yulian snickered to herself. She had just been taking a casual stroll, and had already witnessed the Spirit Beast Sect make a fool of itself. The revered heavenly daughter of the prestigious Spirit Beast Sect actually bowing and scraping to a useless Qingyan sect outcast. No one would believe it if she told them. At the Sect Master Peak, the group arrived before the main hall. The Mission Hall Deacon spoke. "Junior brother Fang, come with me. The rest of you shall wait outside the hall for the time being." Naturally, Yi Lingxing and the others dared not trespass into the sovereign hall without permission. They could only stand on tiptoe, craning their necks to peer curiously at the scene within the hall. At this moment, inside the brightly lit great hall, Gong Ki, clad in a colored flowing skirt and bearing a graceful, willowy figure, was leaning over a table, fully absorbed in studying a bamboo scroll inscribed with blurry characters that appeared to be of ancient origin. Her left hand propped her snow-white cheek, while her jade-like slender right hand held the scroll. Her exquisitely carved jade countenance, nourished by beauty-preserving ointment, looked even more radiant, as if she were a maiden barely in her 20s, yet the fullness of her bosom outlined a mature, alluring charm. This quiet, bequeathing posture seemed entirely disconnected from the martial world, as if the woman before one was not a renowned sovereign of the martial realm, but a gentle, scholarly noble lady, raised within the seclusion of a deep boudoir. Sensing someone approaching, she did not lift her head from her reading as she spoke. "Pour me a cup of tea." Fang Chen was slightly stunned, then immediately realized she had mistaken him for a serving maid. He walked straight to the tea table, poured a cup of tea, and set it before her. She still kept her gaze fixed on the bamboo scroll, not lifting her head at all. Fang Chen laughed secretly in his heart, then moved silently to stand behind her, reaching out to grasp her cool, silky, fragrant shoulders. Her shoulders and back were slender, as thin as a sheet of paper, so much so that half of Fang Chen's palm could not even wrap around them. He squeezed gently twice. Gong Ki could not help but let out a comfortable moan. "You've eaten your fill and have strength now. You never pressed this hard before." Fang Chen smiled without speaking, continuing to knead her shoulders. The technique he used was a special method from the undying medical canon, used to unblock a patient's meridians. Ordinary people would feel excruciating pain from this kneading, but for martial artists with the powerful physique of the Golden Core realm, the pressure was just right. The feeling was so pleasant that Gong Ki could not help but put down the bamboo scroll, closing her eyes to enjoy it quietly, while praising him non-stop. You've finally learned something. Please this sovereign, haven't you? The person who taught you must be a practitioner of the medical path. Right. This technique is meant for clearing and regulating people's meridians.
Fang Chen smiled faintly. She did have quite a discerning eye. He immediately sped up his movements, his 10 fingers dancing across her shoulders, making Gong Ki feel even more comfortable.
This also made her even more confused. Is this technique not too professional? Ying Tao, who taught you this? Standing under a stone pillar not far away, Ying Tao had been silently waiting for orders, not daring to make a sound for a long time. Seeing that she was being addressed, she could only speak up. Sect Master, I am over here. Sensing that the voice came from the front, Gong Ki snapped her eyes open. Her personal maid Ying Tao was standing in the distance with an innocent look on her face. But if it was not her, then who was massaging her shoulders? She turned around abruptly, catching sight of the man's robes, and immediately flew into a rage as she stood up, shouting, "Insolence! How dare you act disrespectfully towards the sovereign?" However, when she saw the man's face clearly, she fell into a daze. Fang Chen. She had been thinking of Fang Chen every day for an entire month, to the point that all her disciples were sick of hearing his name. She had had the thought of inviting Fang Chen to the Spirit Beast Sect several times, but with the beast tide imminent, she had no time to spare and put the matter aside. Now that Fang Chen had suddenly appeared right before her eyes, how could she not be stunned? Fang Chen stepped back 2 paces, cupped his hands in a salute, and smiled. It was the sect master who told me to knead your shoulders. It is not this junior who is being disrespectful. Only then did Gong Ki realize what had happened. She had been so focused just now that she had mistaken the newly arrived Fang Chen for Ying Tao, ordering him to pour tea and then massage her shoulders. She could not help but laugh and cry at the same time. Why didn't you say something? Fang Chen said, the sect master was too absorbed. I could not bear to disturb you. Gong Ki looked at Fang Chen, whose appearance had changed a fair bit, and felt a sense of time having passed like a lifetime. Even though they had only been separated for a month, it felt like ages had gone by. Suppressing the emotions in her heart, a long, lost smile appeared on her face. She said warmly, sit down. She pointed to her wide, long bench, which was carved from high-grade spirit wood. It could be used for sitting, and also for lying down to take a short rest when one was tired. Fang Chen waved his hand. This junior would not dare. This is the sect master's seat. How can I, a disciple from an external sect, sit here casually? Gong Ki held an extraordinary fondness for Fang Chen, and did not stand on ceremony with him. She pressed down on his shoulder to make him sit, and said, no stuffy formalities are allowed in my presence. The crowd outside the hall almost had their eyes pop out of their sockets. The sect master had actually let Fang Chen sit on the exclusive sovereign throne of the sect. Yi Lingxing trembled and asked, Junior Sister Yuan, have you ever sat on that chair? Yuan Jiu shook her head repeatedly. Are you joking? That is the sect master's seat. Even if you offered it to me, would I dare sit on it? Looking at Fang Chen sitting side by side with Gong Ki on the sect master's throne, Yuan Jiu clicked her tongue in wonder. Is master being too fond of junior brother Fang? Is this not going overboard? Inside the hall, Fang Chen felt as if there were thorns all under his seat. No matter how he sat, he was uncomfortable. To make matters worse, Gong Ki was being overly warm, ordering people to pour tea on one hand, while propping her snow-white cheek and staring straight at him non-stop on the other, making him feel even more uneasy all over. He coughed lightly and said, Sect Master, do you have any other orders for me? Gong Ki was stunned for a moment, only then realizing that she had forgotten to ask why Fang Chen had come. Oh right, why have you come to see this sovereign? I thought you would not dare to come to the Spirit Beast Sect. Back then, Fang Chen repeatedly rejected the proposal to invite him to serve as the young sect master of the Spirit Beast Sect. Yet now, without her extending an invitation, Fang Chen has come of his own accord. Fang Chen asked in return, was it not the sect master who summoned me? Why would I summon you? This left Gong Ki stunned for a moment, before she exclaimed in shock, don't tell me. You are the one who completed the bounty on Black Lotus. She had only heard the deacon of the mission hall report that the person in question bore the surname Fang. She had pondered which sect possessed such a formidable Fang disciple, and when she could find no answer, she decided to summon the person for an audience. Never did she imagine it would be Fang Chen. That would be this junior, Fang Chen said with a helpless, amused smile. Gong Ki sized Fang Chen up and down in utter disbelief. That can't be. We have only been separated for a single month, and you already have the strength to slay Black Lotus. She recalled that when he last departed,
Fang Chen had only just attained enough strength to defeat Cao Zhen, roughly equivalent to the 6th layer of the Foundation establishment realm.
It had been barely any time at all. How could he slay someone like Black Lotus, who was at the 9th layer of Foundation establishment?
No, she had received unofficial word that Black Lotus had already broken through to the Golden Core realm.
Gong Ki could not help but stand up abruptly. Her gaze burned bright as she studied Fang Chen.
Previously, Fang Chen had displayed all manner of astonishing talents, save for one flaw. He was deemed to have no spiritual root, and was thus judged to have no future on the martial path. But now it was clear that Fang Chen was far from being rootless. He possessed an unparalleled, heaven-defying top-tier spiritual root. At this thought, her breath caught in her throat, her chest rising and falling rapidly with suppressed excitement. Fang Chen grew increasingly uncomfortable under her scrutiny and spoke up. "Sect Master, I have come to exchange for the Earth Phoenix Grass Marrow.
When may I claim it?" At this moment, all he desired was to leave the Spirit Beast Sect as soon as possible.
Gong Ki only then snapped back to her senses. She tamped down the roiling tempest of emotions in her heart, regained her composure, and sat back down, saying in a light, casual tone, "It is not every day you grace us with your presence. What is the hurry?"
In her heart, she was already plotting how to keep Fang Chen here.
A prodigy who possessed talent in the sword path, comprehension, pill refining, body forging, and most importantly, martial cultivation. If such a monstrous genius did not belong to the Spirit Beast Sect, the thought was more unbearable than death itself. But she could not think of a good plan on the spot. Seeing the atmosphere growing increasingly awkward, she pointed to the bamboo slip on the table and said, "Read this for a while. Your comprehension is so exceptional that you may even glean some insight from the Spirit Beast Sect's beast-taming art." Fang Chen was also somewhat awkward, so he turned his attention to the bamboo slip. He flipped open the cover only to discover in shock that it was an earth-rank cultivation method called the spirit-taming art. He quickly closed it and said, "This is your sect's secret technique. I cannot read it." What a joke! Among the 9 great sects, barely a handful possessed earth-rank cultivation methods. Any sect that did guarded them as the most closely held core secret of the entire sect. How could an outsider like him be allowed to read it? Yet Gong Ki smiled gently, flipped it open again, and said, "Read it as you please. This text has been passed down through generations of sect masters, but its true essence was lost long ago. I too have failed to comprehend it in my tenure as sect master. If you can help our sect unlock its secrets, you will be richly rewarded." Fang Chen smiled helplessly. "I do not want any reward. I only ask that you honor our agreement and let me exchange for the Earth Phoenix Grass Marrow as promised." Gong Ki nodded her fair chin without hesitation. "No problem at all." Only then did Fang Chen begin to earnestly read through the spirit-taming art. Little did he know, a faint glint of craftiness flashed across Gong Ki's gentle gaze. Outside the hall, Yuan Jiyu was stunned silly. She covered her red lips, her eyes filled with utter disbelief. Seeing her so shocked, Lu Xinghe asked, "Junior sister Yuan, what is the matter?" Yuan Jiyu quietly pointed at the bamboo slip and stammered, "That is the sect master's secret scroll, only accessible to successive generations of sect masters. Normally, the few of us disciples are not even allowed to glance at it, yet master has handed it to Fang Chen to read as he pleases." She recalled the jest Gong Ki had once made about inviting Fang Chen to be the young sect master. Unsure whether to be delighted or worried, she murmured to herself, "I'm afraid junior brother Fang will not be leaving the Spirit Beast Sect anytime soon." At these words, Lu Xinghe's beautiful eyes flew wide open, and she drew in sharp, repeated breaths. "Are you saying Fang Chen is going to be named the young sect master of the Spirit Beast Sect?" Completely oblivious to all this, Fang Chen was wholly focused on the bamboo slip, explaining his insights to Gong Ki as he read. At first, Gong Ki was highly distracted, alternating between stealing amused glances at Fang Chen and glancing at the bamboo slip. Yet as time went on, Fang Chen's explanations grew increasingly profound, and Gong Ki gradually became fully engrossed in his words. Furthermore, countless doubts she had failed to unravel through her own research slowly clarified under his elucidation. 2 hours later, the sun dipped westward, and the lingering glow of dusk filtered in, casting its light upon 2 intensely focused faces. Fang Chen closed the final page, relaxed his shoulders, and exhaled a long breath. "That is all. The foregoing are my insights. If the sect master has any points of confusion, you may ask me." Gong Ki remained immersed in the content, countless of Fang Chen's insights surfacing within her mind. As the leader of an entire sect, her natural comprehension was by no means mediocre. Before long, she had fully digested every point he had explained. She attempted to cultivate this technique following the guidance of these insights. As she formed a hand seal, a complex Sanskrit script flickered to life in the center of her palm. This left Gong Ki so ecstatic her words came out in a jumble. It's Sanskrit, the beast-taming Sanskrit. I succeeded. After 200 years, I have successfully cultivated Spirit Command Art, the top-tier cultivation method of the Spirit Beast Sect. Overwhelmed with excitement, she recklessly pulled Fang Chen into a tight embrace, her voice thick with a faint sob. Thank you. Thank you, I have fulfilled the last wish of generations of sect masters. I have carried out my master's dying charge. I did not let them down. Wails escaped her, leaving Fang Chen completely dumbfounded. Feeling himself wrapped tightly in a soft, warm, sweet, scented embrace, his entire mind went blank. His arms, in particular, were pressed against her full chest, sending his thoughts wandering uncontrollably. Outside the hall, the onlookers all stared with wide eyes, unable to believe the scene unfolding before them. Yuan Jiyu, in particular, stared blankly at the sight. Is that really my master? What is she seeing? The pure, unsullied master she held in such high regard was actually embracing a man in broad daylight, and she was the one who initiated it. If she had not seen it with her own eyes, she would never have believed her master was capable of such an act. Qin Caihe gaped in shock, saying, Senior sister Yuan, your master and junior brother Fang, choosing. Meng covered her eyes. Her pretty face flushed. She peeked quietly through the gaps between her fingers. They were just talking. Why did they suddenly hug? Lu Xinghe could not help but cover her mouth to stifle a gasp, her eyes wide as saucers, as if she had witnessed something utterly earth-shattering. Inside the hall, Fang Chen felt he was on the verge of being suffocated by the embrace, and spoke up to remind her, Sect Master, calm down. Gong Ki froze for a moment, only then realizing what she was doing. She hurriedly released him in a panic, her heart racing wildly. Gong Ki, what are you doing? Are you insane? What if people get the wrong idea? She rubbed the spot between her brows to hide her embarrassment, saying, I lost my composure for a moment earlier and forgot you are a male disciple. Forget this ever happened, and never speak of it to anyone else. The Spirit Beast Sect only accepts female disciples, and men are almost never seen on the grounds year-round. Thus, even as the sect master, she had long let her guard down regarding the distinction between men and women. Little did she expect that a moment of excitement would lead to such an awkward situation. A faint, lingering fragrance drifted into his nose, and the tingling, numb sensation on his arms slowly faded away. All of this left the inexperienced Fang Chen with an indescribable, strange feeling. He nodded, changing the subject. Congratulations to Sect Master Gong for mastering the sect's secret art. Gong Ki regained her composure, a flash of mischief crossing her pretty bright eyes. Congratulations to you as well for mastering it. All these insights originated from you after all. If even I can achieve success in cultivation, it will only be far easier for you. Fang Chen spoke with a solemn expression. Sect Master, you may rest assured. I will not practice your sect's peerless art, nor will I pass it on to any third party. He already possessed 3 Earth-grade cultivation methods of his own, and held no desire to covet the secret techniques of the Spirit Beast Sect. Gong Ki smiled softly, lifted the exquisitely crafted jade pot, and poured a small amount of tea for Fang Chen. She spoke unhurriedly. The asterisk spirit taming technique asterisk was created by the founding ancestor of my Spirit Beast Sect. When cultivated to its deepest level, it allows one to control demonic beasts 3 realms higher than oneself, turning them into your own combat spirit pets. As she spoke, she pushed the poured tea before Fang Chen, an amused, half-smiling glint flickering in her eyes. Owing to its staggering power, it was designated as a non-transmissible secret art of the Spirit Beast Sect. Only one type of person is permitted to practice it. Can you guess who that is? Hearing this, Fang Chen could no longer sit still. He could tell even without thinking that this cultivation method could only be practiced by the reigning sect master or the heir apparent to the sect master position. When can you hand over the Earth Phoenix Grass Marrow to me? This junior still has to return to my sect to report back. He quickly cut off Gong Ki's words. Gong Ki's eyes crinkled into 2 crescent moons as she smiled. Return to which sect? The Spirit Beast Sect is your sect now. The Earth Phoenix Grass Marrow is all yours, and in the future, all female disciples of this sect will be yours as well. Fang Chen jolted violently. What he had feared the most had come to pass. He said hurriedly, Sect Master, do not jest. The Spirit Beast Sect has only ever accepted female disciples. As a man, joining your noble sect would violate your rules. Gong Ki leaned slightly closer, a faint, alluring fragrance wafting toward him. Her tempting red lips pursed softly. Rules are made by people,
so they can naturally be changed by people as well. This sect can make an exception for you. I will take you as my personal disciple, and name you young sect master. When I pass on, after 100 years, you will become the next Spirit Beast Sect master.
Fang Chen's heart grew somewhat turbulent. How could he not be tempted by such alluring terms? Among all the elders he had ever encountered, Gong Ki had treated him the most sincerely and gently.
He was certain she was not making empty promises.
However, the Taixu ancient tree within his body, his father's lifelong depression, and the whereabouts of his birth mother of whom he had not a single memory all prevented Fang Chen from being
content with the status quo. Forging ceaselessly ahead was the only path he could take. Having clarified his thoughts, his gaze hardened with resolve.
He rose to his feet and said, I am deeply grateful for the sect master's generous favor, but my ambition lies far beyond these walls. Please select another outstanding successor, sect master. I
take my leave. He would no longer claim the Earth Phoenix Grass Marrow. If he pressed for it further, he feared he would truly become trapped in the Spirit Beast Sect, never able to leave again. Watching Fang Chen's suddenly resolute departing back, Gong Ki's face grew warm with embarrassment. When had she ever been so open and warm to anyone before? Let alone a junior, even elders of higher seniority than her had never received such near-fawning treatment from her, yet Fang Chen had spurned this generous offer out of hand. She slammed her palm against the table, just about to scold him, when a young man hurried into the hall, his voice carrying a bright, hearty laugh. Sect Master Gong, this junior. The moment he stepped through the door, the loud crack of Gong Ki slamming the table scared him into trailing off mid-sentence. He lifted his eyes, spotting Fang Chen walking out in silence, as well as Gong Ki, who wore a dark expression, sparks of anger simmering beneath her gaze. Sect Master Gong, is something amiss? The young man was tall and slender, and like Fang Chen, he possessed a strikingly handsome appearance that made him easily stand out in a crowd. The difference was that compared to Fang Chen's calm, unflappable demeanor, he was far more shrewd and worldly. His eyes darted slightly as he asked his question with careful caution. Gong Ki suppressed her displeasure, her tone flat and devoid of emotion. Fu Caihe, what business brings you here? Fu Caihe was filled with confusion. How had that male disciple from another sect angered the dignified sect master to this extent? Gong Ki was known for her gentle temperament, and no one had ever heard of her flying into a rage before. He stepped forward, an irrepressible smug smile spreading across his face, reporting to Sect Master Gong, this junior is of little talent, but I have successfully comprehended the opening page of the Spirit Taming Technique He was the chief disciple of the Tianian sect. Ever since he joined the sect, he had been synonymous with extraordinary, peerless talent. In just 2 short years, he had surpassed all senior disciples, becoming the undisputed #1 disciple of the entire sect. His comprehension aptitude is even hailed as the greatest in the Tianian sect over the past century. He once held the legendary record of comprehending a fragment of an Earth Phoenix move in merely 1 month, a feat that has been passed down as a renowned legend among all members of the Tianian sect. He had thought his entire life would proceed along a preordained path until he chanced upon Gong Ki. Her unrivaled strength, beauty that surpassed all 9 sects, and elegant, gentle temperament pierced his heart like a sharp divine sword, leaving him unable to forget her from that day forth. Alas, the vast chasm between their social standings left him with not a sliver of hope. Until he heard by chance that Gong Ki had been troubled by her sect's Earth Phoenix cultivation method for many years, he volunteered his services. Accompanied by the Great Elder, he offered to help Gong Ki comprehend the technique. Upon learning of his exceptional comprehension aptitude, Gong Ki gave him the cover page of the technique to let him try his hand at deciphering it. If he succeeded, he would henceforth be able to stay by Gong Ki's side under the pretext of comprehending the cultivation method. He believed that as they spent more time together, his excellence would gradually win over Gong Ki's heart. Thus, after spending 3 days successfully comprehending the contents of the cover page, he could not wait to report his achievement to Gong Ki. In his mind, he was already picturing the look of surprise and delight that would appear on Gong Ki's face. However, long after he finished his report, Gong Ki gave no response. When he raised his head to look, he saw that Gong Ki was staring fixedly at Fang Chen's receding back, flashes of annoyance flickering in her eyes from time to time. She had not listened to a single word he said. Sect Master Gong, Fu Caihe called out twice to get her attention. Gong Ki finally snapped back to her senses, her gaze still fixed on Fang Chen as she asked Fu Caihe, "What did you just say?" Fu Caihe frowned, feeling slightly snubbed. Why was Gong Ki paying so much attention to that disciple? He suppressed the displeasure in his heart and put on a smile again, saying, reporting to the sect master, this junior has successfully comprehended the cover page of the asterisk spirit control art asterisk. I had thought sect master Gong would be very pleased. But her reaction was so cold that Fu Keijun was at a loss for what to do. Got it, Gong Ki responded perfunctorily. Watching Fang Chen truly leave without even glancing back, she grew even angrier. Where had she ever treated him poorly? How could he be so cold-hearted? Seeing that Fang Chen was about to walk out of the main hall without the slightest hint of reluctance, she panicked and shouted, Who said you could leave? Get back here. Fang Chen had no choice but to bite the bullet and return. Standing in front of the table, he cupped his hands in salute and said, Does Sect Master Gong have any other orders? He had previously addressed her simply as Sect Master, but now he called her Sect Master Gong. This strictly business tone made Gong Ki feel even more displeased. She decided to give Fang Chen a little wake-up call. Pointing at Fu Keijun standing beside her, she said, This is Fu Keijun, the chief disciple of the Tianian sect. A heaven-sent genius with unparalleled comprehension aptitude, he is a peerless prodigy that the Tianian sect has not seen in 100 years. Upon hearing these top-tier titles, Fang Chen showed a look of respect, cupped his hands in salute, and said, I am Fang Chen of the Qingyun sect. Greetings, senior brother Fu. Fu Keijun could not figure out Fang Chen's background, so he smiled and returned the salute. I am Fu Keijun of the Tianian sect. A pleasure to meet you. Gong Ki continued her introduction. Fu Keijun traveled 1,000 li to my Spirit Beast Sect to help me comprehend the asterisk spirit control art asterisk. If his performance satisfies me, I will grant his request and allow him to stay by my side. This seemed like a casual explanation for why he was present, but in reality, it was a message to Fang Chen. Someone else had traveled thousands of li to beg to stay by her side, and she still had. Test him before even considering the request. But you, Fang Chen, I offered you the title of young sect master, and you dared to repeatedly refuse. Fang Chen caught the hidden meaning in her words, and felt both amused and helpless. Following her train of thought, he said, Sect Master Gong is surrounded by countless talents, and this junior is ashamed to say I cannot compare to them. Entrusting such a rare opportunity, Senior Brother Fu is exactly what everyone expects. This junior offers his sincere congratulations. If he had kept quiet, it would have been fine, but these words sent Gong Ki into a towering rage. She slammed her palm on the table and shot to her feet, her almond eyes wide with fury. Fang Chen, you're deliberately provoking me, aren't you? She had clearly been trying to tell Fang Chen that she did not treat everyone so well, and that he should cherish the opportunity she gave him. But instead, he pulled this stunt, leaving her so angry that her lungs ached faintly. I dare not, these are the sincere words of this junior. Fang Chen stepped back several paces, maintaining a safe distance to prevent Gong Ki from launching a sudden strike. Fu Keijun was utterly bewildered. What golden opportunity, what universal acclaim, and how had Gong Ki been enraged to this extent? He spoke in a warm, concerned tone. Sect Master Gong, Junior Brother Fang's words were disrespectful. That is his fault. Do not anger yourself to the point of harming your health. But this expression of concern not only failed to quench Gong Ki's rage, it also stoked her deep-seated grievance. She poured out her bitter complaints to him. His offense goes far beyond mere words. Do you have any idea how excessive he is? I went so far as to amend the rules of the Spirit Beast Sect to accept him as a disciple, and even named him young sect master. And what did he do? He showed not a shred of gratitude. This is simply outrageous. At first, Fu Keijun listened with a faint smile playing on his lips, but soon that smile faded completely. He had traveled thousands of li on his own initiative to help Gong Ki resolve her troubles, seeking only to win a single glance of favor from her, so that he might stay by her side. But what of Fang Chen? Gong Ki had broken centuries, old ironclad rules of the Spirit Beast Sect for the first time in history, just to offer him the position of young sect master. This stark difference in treatment made Fu Keijun's Kai Royal, a heavy weight pressing down on his chest. Uncontrollable jealousy flooded his gaze as he looked at Fang Chen. Why, he was such a heaven-blessed genius, where could he possibly be lacking? He could not help asking, Junior Brother Fang, may I ask if you are a golden roll expert? It was clear that he had long been immersed in the martial path, and knew very little of outside affairs, to the point that he had never even heard of the reputation of Fang Chen, the cultivator with no spiritual roots. Fang Chen answered truthfully that he was not, and Fu Keijun asked again, Then you must be the chief disciple of Qingyun sect. I am not that either. Fu Keijun frowned. Then have you accomplished many legendary feats? Otherwise, why would Gong Ki favor him so deeply? Fang Chen spoke frankly. I am merely a new disciple under the seat of the Qingyan sect master, unknown and unheralded. I do not have the illustrious reputation that senior brother Fu enjoys. A new disciple, unknown and unheralded. Fu Kejun could no longer remain calm, pressing for answers. Then why would Sect Master Gong name you young Sect Master of the Spirit Beast Sect? Fang Chen shrugged. How would I know, but I have already refused. If senior brother Fu is interested, you may apply to Sect Master Gong for the position. The moment these words left his mouth, Gong Ki flew into a rage. Was the position of Spirit Beast Sect young Sect Master something anyone could just apply for if they wanted? What did he take her Spirit Beast Sect for? Fang Chen, you have already infuriated this Sect Master greatly. I will give you one final chance. Will you take the position of young Sect Master or not? Fang Chen was speechless. Who forced someone to become a young Sect Master like this? He declined. Sect Master Gong, I am a disciple of Qingyan Sect. If I am to switch sects, I would at least need the consent of my own sect, would I not? Unexpectedly, Gong Ki waved her jade hand and said, Rest assured, I will compensate Qingyan Sect. I will spare no cost to have you transferred over. Fine beads of sweat broke out on Fang Chen's forehead. Lu Xinghe had never paid much attention to him, and there was also the great elder within the sect who held a grudge against him. If the Spirit Beast Sect truly sent over heaven, shattering resources in exchange for him, he feared that Qingyan Sect would really sell him off. I also have 2 fiancées here. Before he could finish his sentence, Gong Ki said, Then we will transfer them over as well. She was dead set on bringing him over, it seemed. Fang Chen grew a little anxious, saying, But my master has already announced that I am his son-in-law. He will never agree to this. What? Gong Ki was stunned. You and Lu Xinghe. She immediately huffed a laugh of anger. Well done you. In the short month we have been apart, you have even wooed the sect master's daughter, that stunning great beauty. I truly underestimated you. You seemingly honest fellow. At those words, Fang Chen rolled his eyes. How was he not honest? But this should shut Gong Ki up now, right? To his surprise, Gong Ki snorted petulantly. So what if you are a son-in-law? You can be the son-in-law of Qingyan Sect. Can you not be one of the Spirit Beast Sect? Yu and Jiyu, get in here. Upon hearing her name, Yu and Jiyu hurried over at a run, her pretty jade face filled with cautiousness. Master, what are your orders? Gong Ki grabbed Yu and Jiyu's hand and pressed it into Fang Chen's palm, saying, I will marry my disciple to you. Is that enough? While Jiyu is not as beautiful as Lu Xinghe, she is still a beauty 1 in 10,000. Though she is not my biological daughter, she is no less dear to me than my own flesh and blood. Fang Chen and Yu and Jiyu both pulled their hands away at the same time, utterly shocked. Fang Chen decided that he had to make his stance perfectly clear now, or things would spiral completely out of control soon. He bowed solemnly with cupped fists, saying, Sect Master Gong, please calm your anger. I do not fail to recognize your good intentions. I do not mind if you laugh at me, but since I joined Qingyan Sect, the elder who has treated me the best is not my master, but you, Sect Master Gong. He drew the black sword from his back, stroking its blade as he said, I was originally an unknown disciple, ignored by my sect. I am indebted to your favor, Sect Master Gong, for giving me a chance. To prove myself, you first gifted me medicinal elixirs, then gave me this precious sword. This junior shall forever bear this kindness in his heart. These words stirred up old memories, making Gong Ki recall all the scenes of her encounters with Fang Chen, and most of her anger dissipated. This fellow was not that ungrateful after all. At least he knew how well she had treated him. But why could he not just agree to her request? Becoming the young sect master of the Spirit Beast Sect would let him ascend to the heavens in a single step, would it not? Why would he reject her well-meaning offer? Fang Chen sighed deeply. To be honest with you, Sect Master, when I was still young, my parents were separated. My father spent his entire life suffering grievance, huddled in a remote, small city. Dying of grief and resentment, my mother's life or death remains unknown to this day. As a son, I must seek justice for my father and fulfill my filial duty to my mother. Before these matters are completed, if I were to covet comfort and pleasure, how could I face my father's spirit in the afterlife, or my mother, whose fate remains unknown? Both Gong Ki and Yu and Jiyu were moved. They had only seen Fang Chen's extraordinary talent and boundless glory, but had never known that his background was so tragic that he was effectively an orphan. Only then did Gong Ki realize how unreasonably she had been pushing him. Lifting the hem of her skirt, she stepped forward gracefully, her eyes filled with apology. Looking at Fang Chen's slightly disheveled collar, she stretched out her jade-like fingers and adjusted it gently, her gaze full of fond pity. Poor child, you have endured so much. Thinking of how Fang Chen was already alone and helpless, and was still treated coldly by everyone in Qingyan's sect, she found him even more pitiable. Her own aggressive pressure had been no different from bullying him, and a faint sense of guilt rose in her heart. She said apologetically, "This sect master was unaware of your background. I am truly sorry." Looking at her remorseful expression, Fang Chen smiled magnanimously. "You need not blame yourself, sect master. It is I who should be thanking you, though the 9 sects are vast. Who else would treat me with such care as you do? There is no other person in the world who would do so." Even though Lu Xinghe had temporarily acknowledged him and publicly declared him his son-in-law, he would never agree to appoint Fang Chen as young sect master. Of all the elders who were kind to Fang Chen, none could compare to Gong Ki. Gong Ki gazed at this sensible, heartbreakingly mature young man, endless pity welling in her eyes. She straightened his robes and spoke softly. "Treat the Spirit Beast Sect as your own home from now on. If the Qingyan sect mistreats you, tell me, and I will bring you over. I will never let you suffer injustice again." A stinging sensation rose in Fang Chen's nose. The last time someone had protected him like this was when his father was still alive, and that was already 3 years ago. "Thank you, sect master." Fang Chen was grateful from the very depths of his heart. Gong Ki patted his shoulder and said, "Go, do whatever you wish." Suddenly she remembered something she had forgotten, and immediately took a bottle of pre-prepared Earth Phoenix Grass Marrow out of her sleeve. She had nearly forgotten it, so she stuffed it into Fang Chen's arms and whispered, "Use it as soon as possible. Do not let anyone see it." Fang Chen nodded. "I understand." After putting away the Earth Phoenix Grass Marrow, he prepared to take his leave. But Fu Keizhan, who stood nearby, rolled his eyes and spoke up. "Sect Master Gong, since junior brother Fang is unwilling to take the position of young sect master, this humble one is untalented, but willing to give it a try." "Try?" Gong Ki glanced at him askance, her face impassive. "The position of young sect master is reserved for Fang Chen. When he fulfills his wish, I will ask for his opinion again." It would be left empty rather than given to him. Fu Keizhan's face stiffened slightly. He truly could not fathom where he was inferior to Fang Chen. Could it be simply because his background was not tragic enough? But how dared he accuse Gong Ki? He could only shift the topic back to the spirit control art saying, "Then Sect Master Gong, do you still need me to help you comprehend your sect's secret technique?" Gong Ki thought for a moment, took a bottle of Earth Phoenix grass juice from her sleeve, and tossed it to him casually. "You have worked hard these past few days. Take this bottle of Earth Phoenix grass juice with you. I will have the Grand Elder see you out shortly." "What?" Fu Keizhan's body trembled slightly, barely able to believe his ears. "Sect Master Gong, do you not trust my comprehension? I will tell you my insights right now, and you will know whether my understanding is correct as soon as you hear it." Gong Ki said indifferently, "There is no need." She was no fool. Fu Keizhan had come uninvited, requesting to stay by her side. How could she not know his intentions? From the way he looked at her, she was perfectly clear on what this man harbored in his heart. Not to mention that Fang Chen had already helped her fully comprehend the entire spirit control art . Even if he had not, she would absolutely never allow a man who harbored indecent intentions toward her to remain by her side. "Why?" Fu Keizhan, who believed his petty schemes were well hidden, could not accept this outcome and pressed. "Does Sect Master Gong no longer need this technique? The beast tide is approaching fast. With this technique in hand, you and your sect will have one more layer of assurance to rely on." Hearing the threat laced in his words, Gong Ki's dislike for him grew even deeper. If he dared to issue threats now, wouldn't he make excessive demands once they reached a critical stage of comprehension? Only then did she suddenly realize just how rare and precious it was that Fang Chen had silently helped her fully comprehend the entire spirit control art without asking for anything in return. By comparison, Fang Chen's moral character appeared exceptionally noble, so much so that she could not help but glance at him one more time. He was handsome, blessed with extraordinary talent in countless fields, and of impeccable character. She recalled a famous saying, "A gentle gentleman as fine as jade, unparalleled in all the world." That must be a description of a man like Fang Chen. "Sect Master Gong, are you listening to me?" Noticing that Gong Ki was distracted again, staring fixedly at Fang Chen, Fu Keizhan grew somewhat angry. Gong Ki snapped back to her senses, hastily averted her gaze, and responded calmly, "You need not concern yourself with this matter. The affairs of my Spirit Beast Sect are for us to handle on our own. You may take your leave now." A huge sense of disappointment washed over Fu Keizhan. He had been full of joy, convinced that he would get to stay by Gong Ki's side, and that as they spent more time together day after day, he would have the chance to win her favor.